All right, let's get started with the village board meeting. This is number 3,157. That's January 22nd, 2018. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Abernathy.
Present.
Black.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Rikus.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Semple.
Here.
Very good. Would all those able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone here live and then also joining us online. Thank you for attending. And we have a fairly short agenda this evening, but there are some very interesting tidbits nonetheless. We're going to hear a presentation regarding the possibility of murals in Mundelein. That's from our Mundelein Arts Commission. We have a report from our auditor. There's a few motions regarding the North Lake Enhancement Program for downtown area. And then we have a Liquor Commission meeting as well, and then paying some bills. So let's get right to it then. I need a motion, please, to approve the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from January 8th, 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Abernathy.
Second.
Second by Trustee Rikus. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Rikus.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, a motion to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting minutes from January 8th, 2018.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Rikus.
Second.
Second by somebody.
Me.
Trustee Abernathy. Discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Rikus.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next up is public commentary. Is anyone present that wishes to address the village board at this time? I have one hand. I have two hands. Anyone else? Sir, we'll go over here with you first. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frank Shaw and I live at 416 Danbury Road. I moved to Mundelein in the spring of 1973, about 45 years ago. My wife Diane and I are here with some of our neighbors. And I wish to speak on behalf of our 7 concerned residents of the 400 to 500 block of Danbury Road located in Loch Lomond subdivision. My presentation includes a signed and notarized petition from these concerned residents requesting that street curbing, water and sewer main line repairs to our street commence in the summer of 2018. The village in the summer of 2015 and 17 made such repairs on the east side of the northern part of Loch Lomond subdivision, stopping both times at the intersection of Dunbar Road and Danbury Road, 50 feet short from the streets and homes. If I could take a moment, I'd like to pass the petition down for your perusal. Mayor has the original.
Thank you.
Since 2014, many of us from that intersection down to Bow Creek have experienced persistent water main breaks and sewer issues resulting in the flooding of driveways, garages, basements, and erosion of soil and damage to driveways. Our street has rapidly crumbling infrastructure built in the early 1960s. It is almost 60-year-old, and since December 2014, 2 major water main breaks at 431 Danbury and then another at 441 Danbury resulted in significant damage to the home of Yvonne Omblot at 441 Danbury. Her accounts of the damage to her home are attached to this petition and show that Mundelein had to expend the resources of village employees as well as 2 fire trucks and a crew of firefighters to clean up her flooded basement and garage. The accounts of our next door neighbor, Lenny and Don Catkin, located at 431, are also included. They are also present if you wish to ask them any questions later. They also have pictures. Some of them are pretty devastating. I and my wife have experienced sewer and water waste line issues at the main on the village easement starting in December 2017. The line is open and flowing for now, and I thought we could nurse it along until this summer. We thought we'd be next in line for village improvements. After checking with village personnel, I was dumbfounded to find out that our home and that of my neighbors on the remaining western and northern part of Loch Lomond are not in the village's 3-year plan. Going forward for the summer of 2018 through 20. After 5 continuous years of reconstruction in Loch Lomond and almost 60% of our subdivision now completed, the rest of Loch Lomond is skipped over for at least 3 years or more while in need of urgent repairs. Imagine our surprise and that of my neighbors that our street is left in limbo. In our presentation, you will see colored printouts provided to me by Bill Ehrich, Mundelein Village Engineer. The first set shows Mundelein's 3-year plan from 2018 to 20, and it mainly consists of reconstruction on the south and east side of town. Some in areas that were constructed in the late 1970s and 80s, 20 years after Loch Lomond. The next set of printouts also came from Mr. Emerich at my request for a history of only the water main system, breaks, leaks, and repairs for just our subdivision of Loch Lomond. You'll note that he states it only represents, and I repeat, only represents issues from 1991 to 2013. There is no history from 2014 through 17, for the time period in which much of the damage to my neighbors' homes have occurred. If you closely study the report, you can see the village called out quite often for break, leaks, repairs on Banbury Road, and 13 times or more on Killarney Pass Circle during this time period. What caused me to explore this more fully is that to get down to the sewer main on my side of the street to make repairs at the main requires going down 19 feet, and excavating will require OSHA deep dig procedures and collapse containment. I assume the same can be said about Killarney Pass Circle in Loch Lomond, which is a high peninsula in our subdivision. So I can only assume that this portion of Loch Lomond is stuck on the back burner for reconstruction issues because of 2 things, cost and avoidance. I had 2 cost estimates from excavating contractors for my house, between $16,000 and $20,000 if I had to conduct repairs on my line at the sewer because of its unusual depth. This chronic situation has resulted in diminished property values, extreme damage to some homes, constant call-outs of municipal resources to secure and maintain some structural integrity. And it could prevent the sale of existing homes due to real estate disclosure agreements. Please begin repairing our infrastructure this summer. Please no longer ignore the pleas of my neighbors who are many of the highest tax, longest residing homeowners in Mundelein, most of whom are retired and living on fixed incomes. I would like to thank Bill Emerich for his transparency. In all my dealings with Mundelein employees, you need to be committed and proud of your staffing. Thank you for listening to our concern.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We have pictures if you would like to see.
Mr. Shaw, I'd like to follow up with you after, sometime this week, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right? If you could call my office, give me your phone number, or let's get together on the phone. I want to, have a conversation with you about all this and kind of bring you up to speed, okay?
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you. Next up, who else raised their hand? All right. Yes?
Ralph Dillon, Post Office Box 908, Mundelein. First, I want to express sincere condolences on behalf of me and all my friends around Mundelein to the Suzu family for the loss of their father and friend in a bicycle crash about January 8th on Midlothian. I also express sincere condolence to the man who hasn't been identified but hit him, because this is going to haunt him the rest of his life. The sad part about this is, talked about this before, both in breakfast meetings and in front of this group, about the problem of no sidewalks along Midlothian. There's hundreds of homes that can't go to the high school directly, they can't go to the sports center, they can't go to the library directly. The only route that they do go to try to avoid Midlothian trespasses on Mundelein residents' properties. Asked to get sidewalks before. Unfortunately, there are no sidewalks contiguous to go through that route. Because of that, people walk or they ride their bikes on the road with heavy traffic. Fast and heavy traffic and people on bicycles and walking don't go well together. And my concern then, and a lot of people's concern, was that somebody was gonna die. We thought it was gonna be kids. It's sad that it's an older guy, it's gonna be sad if it's somebody else. Going south on Midlothian, which is the west side of the road, there is no sidewalks between Holly Street to Cortland. There's no sidewalks between Ashwick Drive to Route 60. Going north, on the other side, there's no sidewalks between Hillside Drive and Cortland. And going either directions, even if you go back and forth across the traffic, there's no sidewalks between the south Midlothian at about the 100 mark and the 200 south mark. There's no sidewalks. People have to go on the road. People should not have to go on the road when they go down that road. When you've been planning, you should have set something up. Now you
Can I just hold you 1 second? Where was that accident? What location on Midlothian was it at?
It was at Rensgate and Midlothian Road.
That's much farther north than where you're talking about. And there are sidewalks right there, if I'm not. There's a bike path. Yeah, it's kind of pretty wide.
There's a bike path on the west side of the road, and there's a sidewalk on the east side of the road, all the way up Midlothian in that area.
You
Yeah.
can look at Google Maps and see the gaps. I also was concerned about Lake Street. You plow three lanes of snow and ice are plowed onto the sidewalk in the winter, and people end up walking on the street during snowstorms and in inclement conditions. And I'm afraid somebody might lose their life there as well. And I urge you to take care of the snow problem and to extend the sidewalk so people can go up and down the Midlothian. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll close the floor to public commentary, move on to presentations and awards. From the Arts Commission, we have a presentation regarding murals. Mrs. Arenchek. Oh, no. Colleen Malik, very good.
Colleen Malik and the Arts Commission, Joyce is going to also present along with, there you go. Dr. Moon as well.
Good evening, I'm Joyce Lee, Chairman of the Arts Commission, and tonight we're presenting a presentation on murals. Murals have often been used on blank walls as a means to decorate, educate, and entertain. When placed on the exterior walls of public buildings, murals can not only define a space, but can also define a town. Well-placed and well-executed murals can celebrate a town's history, indicate its commitment to the public good, and confirm its dedication to the arts. Public murals can also add a touch of whimsy and joy that says we are proud, we are unique, we are more than just the basics. The Arts Commission Murals Committee tonight presents our research and findings on the feasibility of public murals in Mundelein. The committee is made up of MAC members Dr. Bruce Moon, Aurelius Bacuza, and myself, along with our staff liaison, Colleen Malik. Thank you for the chance to present tonight, and I'll turn it over now to Dr. Moon.
And we'll try to keep this moving right along here as the rest of the meeting has gone. The purpose of our presentation really is to establish procedural expectations. I trust that you all can read, and I understand that you folks have this in written form, so we'll try to not duplicate the PowerPoint too much. And we also want to make sure that the board is on board with us and that we're moving in the same direction. So, murals, the history of murals in the United States at least, they truly are art of the people. They build a sense of communal identity, pull people together and support a thriving art scene, and in this case, support an emerging art scene. I'm not sure we have a thriving art scene yet, but we're working on it. We're trying to get there. And they have the power to send messages and create conversations about the character of our community. So what we want to do is to as a committee, we have begun to identify our primary mural locations, or what we think are primary mural locations. We've begun to have preliminary conversations with property owners. We have drafted an amendment to the zoning ordinance to regulate murals as special use, which Colleen will be talking about in a little bit. And we've developed standards and policies related to this process, and we are researching mural varieties and what we think will work best for the city or the village of Mundelein. So there are a number of different kinds of murals. The first and probably most well-known are painted murals in which the artist paints directly onto the surface of a building. Okay? And there are a number of different kinds. There are ones that are more graphic in nature, just a design. There are murals that attempt to capture the essence of a historical quality in a community. And of course, there are political ones. We're not going the political route at this point, but we will try to tell you a little bit about what we have in mind. There are also mosaic murals, and these are murals that are created either with tiles or glass, and sometimes with found objects. These are fairly expensive murals, and well, we'll get to the expense part later. Another form of mural is wall-mounted sculptures. Again, these tend to be very expensive professional artist-based experiences, and we're just giving you a sense of what's out there. This is not something we're exactly looking at this time. There are also public infrastructure murals. I know that we're looking at bike holders. Yeah, bike holders as a possible example of that. Other places have done park benches, community planters, that sort of thing. There are also murals that are based in community participation, in which a particular artist gathers together people in a community and collectively creates a mural. This is something I think the Arts Commission really wants to do down the road, although it's not what we're considering for our first project. We think the first project really ought to be something that kicks this off with a bang and makes sure that we have a success that we all can feel very proud of. Okay, so there are different ways, as I said, to apply murals that we're looking at. One way is to, again, have the artist paint directly onto the surface of the building. Another way is to have the art piece projected onto vinyl, sort of like vinyl wrapping that you have seen, and then have the vinyl applied to the building. And so here are some examples of this. You can kind of see Signs Now, I think, is the only vinyl applied mural-like process that we have in Mundelein at this time. The upper right-hand image is from the village of Lamont, which is, again, it's a very large mural, but applied in this kind of vinyl way. So why would this be a benefit? It's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot less labor-intensive. There's more flexibility in design, and it's a lower commitment. That is to say, typically a vinyl mural lasts 2 to 3 years. So for the building owner and for the village itself, the commitment is not nearly as long as a painted-on mural. Another way to go is to do canvas frame murals. If you drive down 94, as you're driving into Chicago, you see that huge building that has the rotating murals. They change every 3 months or 6 months, something like that. Those are murals that are painted or they're applied on canvas and then attached to the building. Now, the advantages of that, again, it's much less costly than the artist painting directly onto the building. It's more durable, and it can be taken down and used at another time at another location. So we might end up with a collection at some point of 30-foot by 10-foot murals. And you can kind of tell where I'm leaning in this whole process. And it's also, again, much more affordable than having the artist paint directly onto the building itself. Okay, so we wanted to, how do we get to this? As the committee began to research murals that are in this area, a colleague of mine from the School of Arts of the Art Institute of Chicago is a member of the Lamont Arts Commission, and he's the one who first turned us on to, you ought to think about vinyl or canvas in lieu of painted on. Well, you can see the various advantages there. I don't want to go through all this, but okay. Okay, so the next thing that we've done, in addition to doing the research about the kind of application that we wanted, was to look at potential locations in the Mundelein area. Almost everybody universally says, oh, get rid of that Ace Hardware wall. But that's a huge one. That's a really large one. Some other places we've looked at here are the Fairhaven Plaza.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we haven't spoken to all of these property owners. This is based on a kind of drive-through, looking at just what kind of stock of, big blank walls we have in the village.
Area General Store, this is one that we have spoken to the owners of that. There's the Accounting Freedom Building right across from Park Street Restaurant. School District 75 office, although they're kind of interested in doing their own thing with a mural on that wall. And then there's Hong Kong Chop Suey, which has two really large blank walls. As our conversation has taken place, one of the things that the Commission has talked about is that really our most central gathering space as a community seems to be the Park Street area. So we've leaned toward the Area General Store or Accounting Freedom or Dr. Blighty's dental office. That seems those are hot areas where we have the park on park in the summertime. It gets a lot of foot traffic because of the restaurants, etc. Okay, so, this is you.
Yeah.
Oh, my part's done.
I would like to just mention too that the building that we ultimately decide on will determine, well, in part, what kind of application we'd be using. Because some might be more, would be better for a canvas frame, others might be better for the vinyl.
Mm-hmm. So this is the less exciting backstage part of murals. So we're putting together kind of the details of how are these owned, how are these maintained. You can't just paint a mural and then, wait and see what happens to it. So we're proposing that the mural is owned jointly by both the property owner and the village in the case where we're commissioning the mural. And then we would retain the primary image rights since we're purchasing the artwork from that artist. And then in terms of maintenance, we are proposing that the mural be maintained by the property owner in terms of any kind of routine cleaning. So they could power wash it, clean off any kind of spills, dirt, salt, that sort of thing. But in the event that it's damaged or vandalized in a way that the property owner can't take care of, then the village would retain the right to come in and either remove the mural or have the artist repaint it or have it reapplied. And then we would put together a contract with the owner and the artist, and that contract would provide for maintenance for a set number of years. Depending on the type of mural, that would determine how many years, after which we can extend it, end it, remove the mural, whatever makes most sense. So we are working on a text amendment. We're looking at establishing murals as a special use in the downtown districts. We've talked about limiting it only to the downtown right now, sort of as a pilot program to focus on the downtown area. And then with the special use, every mural would need to come before the village board and the Planning and Zoning Commission, just like any other special use does. So you would see each mural and location before it's applied. And then we will make sure that we differentiate murals somehow from signage, because our sign ordinance doesn't allow commercial murals. Like if a business wanted to paint a mural that had their business name across it, we don't permit that now. So we will have to make sure that we carefully address the difference between public art and what is a sign. So We'll also make sure we put in use standards to make sure that the mural that's applied is done professionally, that it's used, they use materials that are durable outdoors. They make coatings specifically for murals that are UV resistant and graffiti resistant, so we would require them to use that. And then we have some other standards just to make sure that the mural isn't something that would create danger for motorists, you know, somewhere where there's heavy traffic or fast traffic, and that the surface is suitable for the mural and that the artist is qualified. So our proposed procedure that we want to get your feedback on is the Arts Commission would sort of start thinking about a mural site. They'd probably start talking to an artist and maybe get a conceptual rendering together. And then we would come to the village board informally to kind of get the green light on it. You know, similar to the liquor license process, we would come with a conceptual proposal and get your thoughts on it. And then if you give us the thumbs up, we would move forward and put together a more detailed rendering, get a contract together, start applying for the special use permit, and then it would come to you again in a more formal process via the special use. And then once that's approved, we would paint or apply the mural. So we've done some preliminary research on cost just to get a general idea of what kind of ballpark we're looking at with cost. We have found that murals, especially painted murals, do vary in cost wildly. And the materials and the labor is somewhat standard, but the reason that it varies so much is because different artists charge very different costs for their artwork. You know, you might have some more amateur artists that will have lower costs, or you might have a really popular, famous muralist that you really want one of their pieces of art, and they'll probably be a lot more expensive. So that's why the painted mural, we put $5,000 to $20,000. That's what we're seeing when we're looking online, is they can be as low as about $5,000, but we have seen them as high as, you know, $20,000. And this is for a 10 by 30 foot mural. So other than the painted ones, the vinyl murals that Bruce was talking about, it's about $3,200 for installation, and that doesn't include the artist fee. So the design fee can be anywhere up to $5,000 and as low as a few $100s. But the actual installation by the sign company would be about $3,200. And then for the canvas one, that has the frame, that would be about $4,200 for installation. But the thing that makes the canvas mural unique is that you can install the frame, which is structurally attached to the building. You can install that once, and you can keep putting in new canvases. So each canvas then is $1,400. So that's kind of an opportunity for a rotating mural if you want to switch it out every once in a while. And then funding sources, what we're looking at is our regular Arts Commission budget. And then if, you know, we're not able to fund it completely by ourselves, there's grants, private donations, crowdfunding, those sorts of things. So our next steps after this meeting is the Arts Commission hopes really soon to select a first artist and develop a rendering, pick out a site. We'll be bringing forward a text amendment pretty soon to you guys, adding the special use. Then we will start putting together a contract with the artist and the property owner. We would apply for the special use, and hopefully by the end of summer, we're hoping to have a mural implemented, and then we would do the usual marketing kind of stuff. So, and then we do have one proposal already, and we don't have a site picked out for this yet. We do like the, as Bruce mentioned, we do like the Park Street and Seymour Avenue area a lot, especially for a first mural, since it's so much foot traffic and you've got a really popular event there already. So I'll show you what we have, and keep in mind this is a conceptual sketch, so it's not as fully detailed as it will be when he finishes the rendering. So this is what we have right now. It's kind of a ode to Mundelein's history. So his name is Sam from Wisconsin, and the estimated cost for this one, if he's painting the mural himself, he estimated $5,200 to $7,000 depending on the cost of materials. Or to give us the image rights and just allow us to print it ourselves on vinyl and apply it that way, you're looking at $5,000 to $6,500. So
That's the total.
total.
That's not just his fee.
Yeah, that's with everything. Yep. So that's really all we have. So we're just looking if you have any comments, if you're okay with our direction.
I'll be the first to chime in. I think it's great. I think that this is something that would be very welcoming in the downtown. This is something that would help to spur people to want to see this. I think it's great. I think the whole idea of doing that, it helps, it's very reasonable costs you get a lot more bang for your buck on this. I think that is something that I'd like to see us maybe, I understand Sam Schenkel from Wisconsin. I'd like to see if we have some local people that are able to do this. I'd like to see it go out to some of our residents maybe and give them the opportunity. Certainly want to make sure that any paint and anything that's done is used at our stores, at our paint stores. You know, I'd like to see them, you know, I'd like to see if we're spending the money that it stay here in town.
And I'll kind of add to that a little bit in that when we started looking for artists before we really even started realizing that vinyl was an option. So we were still thinking about muralists, and it's a lot harder to find a muralist than just a general artist. So that's kind of what led us to Sam. But if we're doing vinyl or canvas, that opens it up to any kind of artist.
Right.
You know, it could be a graphic designer, it could be a photographer, it could be anything, since you're just kind of blowing it up and printing it essentially on vinyl and applying it. So we're hoping that
I mean, I just would like to see maybe some of the high school kids being given an opportunity. I bet you they could come up, I mean, this is their town. They might be able to come up with something truly creative and unique. So, okay.
Yes.
I think your theme is wonderful. I think it's just great because it does draw on the history of Mundelein. And that, I think, is, for the first mural, is just exceptional. And this is a personal thing, and I understand that the difference between vinyl and canvas and painted on the wall, and to a certain degree, there's pricing involved, but it's also a little subjective. I would like to see the painted on the wall. That has a permanence to it. It says that this is part of our history, and it doesn't look like it's a commercial billboard that's up there. The vinyl and even the canvas, I understand that we could take it down, but this particular first one I think should be permanent because it speaks to our history, and again, it gives a permanence to the village of Mundelein. I'd love to see that on there. I just have a couple of questions on the presentation. Who approves, first of all, let's say there's somebody who, a building gets torn down or whatever and suddenly there's an open wall. Is the owner of that property then able to go and put any type of mural that they want, or is there an approval process other than the Planning and Zoning Commission? In other words, by our Arts Commission, who looks at it and says, yes, this is something that we should do in Mundelein and not just have anyone who has a blank wall go and paint whatever they want. And in all due respect to Trustee Abernathy, I think that this particular one and any future one should have a professional look to them. And I understand that the high school kids are very talented, but it should have a professional appearance to it. So I'd like to know, is there any approval process that would be in place by the Arts Commission and not only the Planning and Zoning Commission?
Yeah, so you're questioning about when basically a third party comes
Yes,
forward,
exactly.
other than us commissioning.
Correct,
murals, so,
right.
You know, some property owner wanted to do something.
Mhm.
What we're proposing is that they work through the Arts Commission to go forward with their special use. So they would still have to get the special use, they'd have to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission and the board.
But the actual approval of the artwork is what I'm questioning.
Yeah, and that is something that we have to tread carefully with too, because then you start getting into content-based regulations. So if a third party was proposing a mural, you have to be careful with what grounds you're denying it with, to be careful not to violate free speech. But we are going to recommend that as part of the process, they go through the Arts Commission. So before they even apply for their special use, they would meet with members of the Arts Commission and sit down and look at the
Okay.
proposal and have a dialogue back and forth, and the Arts Commission would make recommendations to them, and, you know, give them some feedback back and forth before they move through that process.
Okay. And then lastly, my compliments to the Art Commission for this presentation and their foresight in what they see these murals can be and all the other work that they've been doing. I think it's a wonderful commission, and I want to personally extend my thanks to them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anyone else? Yep.
Yeah, I like the idea, and like Trustee Rikas said, the Art Commission is doing a great job. Keep this thing moving forward. This looks, it looks great.
Are you looking for specific direction on canvas, vinyl, and painted at this point? Or can we defer that until we have something definitive that you want to definitely bring?
I mean, what we're sort of recommending, I guess, is that we think all those three applications are appropriate in different situations. So we're open to all three of those options, and we just kind of wanted to know if any of those are definite nevers for you guys. You know, we heard your comment about doing possibly a painted mural first for kind of that permanence, but maybe in the future we might start looking at some vinyl stuff. So we kind of just want to hear if you guys have any major objections to that before, just general guidance. We're not looking for really a hard.
The only question I have is, it is also, the mural would be on a business or a property owner's building, correct? So wouldn't that property owner also have a little say in whether he wants it a permanent painted fixture, or he might want something that, you know, I mean, I'm just saying, they would have that option also, I think, to do something that might be a little,
That's one of the major benefits of vinyl is
Correct.
if you have a property owner, they might not be so open to it if you're talking about a 5+ year painted mural, but if you tell them, you know, you can remove it at any time if, you know, it's just not working out, and it's really only 1, 2, 3 years, you might have more property owners that are open to it if that's the case.
I just wanted to comment, if you wanted to see the vinyl, the signs now, it's on the back of the building. It's on their building, and the first time I saw it, I thought it was painted.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Yeah. I hear Trustee Rikas, and I understand the context of the historical part of it. I agree on that, but I'm also intrigued at the idea of having canvas, us building an inventory eventually over years of canvas murals that we can swap out, and you know, the thought of that is, I think, interesting.
I don't object to any one of the three. I think I think it's situational as to which one applies, you know, which one is the best fit for that particular site, I would imagine.
And then I'll just add that the Arts Commission generally did like this design, so they think they might move forward on this one. So we're not really asking for any commitment now, but I guess just keep it in the back of your head, you know, what you think about it.
Yeah, I'll echo Trustee Rikas, nice job. Good stuff. Very, very, very impressive. Thank you very much for volunteering your time and putting this together. Thank you. Is that it? Anyone else? Are we good?
Hurry. That's my only comment.
All right. Okay. That takes us to the second presentation tonight, the annual audit report presentation from John Cotrera from BKD CPAs and Advisors.
Good evening, Mayor and Village Board. I will try to keep my presentation as exciting as the mural discussion, but I can't promise that, being that we're discussing the municipal audit here. But part of the, this is our fourth year performing the audit for the village. The village is required to submit their audit within 180 days of the close of the 6 months after the close of the fiscal year, which is April 30th. That's been submitted with the Illinois Office of the Comptroller. Village also submitted the Kappa to the GFOA for participation in the Certificate of Excellence, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Kappa program, for which the village received that award last year, and I would expect the village to receive that same award for the 2017 Kappa. So we'll briefly just go over some high-level details here, or high-level summary here on the Kappa. So part of the audit process, we provide 3 deliverables to the village. First of which is our opinion on the Kappa. Second of which is our opinion on compliance with the TIF statute. And finally, our required communication with the village board, referred to as a SAS 114 letter. Briefly just go over the large document. Hopefully you've had the opportunity to go through it. This is the Kappa Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. So the first page, it's not labeled page 1, but it is the first page here. That's the independent auditor's report. This is BKD's portion of the CAFR. This is where we provide our opinion on whether the CAFR is, whether the financial statements are in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We issued a clean opinion, an unmodified opinion. This is the same one as the prior year, so we have no issues. Everything is fine from that perspective, so clean opinion. Directly after the independent auditor's report is the management's discussion and analysis. I would encourage you, if you have not had an opportunity to get into the entire report, I would certainly encourage you to go through this section of the report, which pretty much just gives a nice high-level summary of the activity during the current year. Management provides their discussion and explanation for some of the changes year over year. So again, some pretty good information in MD&A if you have not had the opportunity to get into the CAFR. And then just briefly, page 17, this is the fund level financial statements, and this is where we see the general funds, fund balance. And down at the bottom, we see that the village's general fund, the unassigned fund balance for the general fund, so this is resources that aren't tied up or restricted by third parties or in a non-spendable format, was a little over $11 million this year. That represents a little over 5 months of your annual operating expenditures. The GFOA recommends a level of about 2 months, regardless of size of a government, so you guys are doing very well compared to that benchmark. And it's also pretty consistent to where you were at in the prior year, which was about $11.9 million. Page 22 is just your activity on the water and sewer funds. So the Waterworks and Sewerage Fund is an enterprise fund, meaning it's meant to operate like a private sector business. So you want to recover your costs associated with providing that activity to your residents. Your operating income in the current year was $718,000, so it seems to be achieving what its goal is, and that it's recouping the costs associated with that activity. And then page 68, I'll just point out, is the start of the required supplemental information required by GASB. And these schedules are useful in that they provide budget to actual information for both your general fund and major special revenue fund, which is the Road and Bridge Fund. But they also provide some pretty good schedules, trend analysis on the pensions and what the funded ratios are for both the police and fire pensions, along with the IMRF pensions. So that is on pages 70, 71, and 72, where you could kind of see what the total pension liability is, whatever assets you guys have set aside for the pension liability, and a funded ratio, so you can kind of see where that's trending year over year. Currently, there's 3 years of data. The schedule is eventually going to build up 10 years of data with the implementation of GSB 67 and 68, 2 and 3 years back. That's when these schedules started being presented in this format in the CAFR. That covers it on the CAFR. The other deliverable that I mentioned was our communication with those charged with governance, and really this is just meant to kind of summarize the audit process. And really nothing, I'm happy to report nothing of significance to really note in here. The audit went really smooth this year. We issued our report in October. Again, it's been submitted with the comptroller and to GFOA. No significant audit adjustments, disagreements with management or anything from that perspective. Again, very smooth audit process. No changes to our internal control over financial reporting. Same comments as in the prior year. So no changes from that perspective. And on the TIF compliance reports, we have no issues in terms of the TIF. Everything, the expenditures appear to be allowable and eligible in accordance with the TIF statute, so nothing to note from that report either. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address those at this point.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have some comments.
Okay.
In the report, there are some recommendations about deficiencies on things like a whistleblower policy, documented debt policy, employee training for BEC employees to issue payments, two-person verification for bank wire and ACH payments. Are those things, Steve, that we're going to, I mean, there were commitments that they would be implemented, but is this something that we'll have like a list, a punch list, and go through and document when those have been completed?
Well, at least on one of those, I spoke with Mr. Haywood. If this came up at the meeting, you want to comment?
Sure,
there?
we'll provide a list for the board of all these recommendations by the auditors.
Yeah, and I just picked out a few. I mean, I didn't necessarily grab all of them, but it would be nice to see all of them in one place and an action plan for those.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Well done. Thank you. Okay, so that's it for presentations tonight. There's no public hearings. We'll do my report, which is very brief, and then we'll go to the Liquor Commission meeting. So the only thing on my report, and I would just give you notice that there is a mayoral proclamation that I signed regarding Poverty Awareness Day. Tomorrow I'm attending a meeting with the Lake County Community Foundation over in Lake Forest, and just exploring the issue of poverty in Lake County. We do have poverty here. It's growing and it's an issue, and we're going to explore the causes and some solutions that we can come together as as partners with the county and with other villages to address. So that'll be quite enlightening. But take a look at that and addressing poverty in Lake County coming up, and it's on January 23rd. That's tomorrow. That's it for my report. As I said, we have a very short agenda. We have a few things coming up, but first I would like to go to the liquor control. Where is it? Where's my agenda for this? One moment. There it is. Liquor Control Commission. So I need a motion, please, to recess into the Liquor Control Commission meeting.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Semple.
Second.
Second by trustee Rikus. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
And I need a motion, please, to call the Liquor Control Commission meeting to order.
So moved.
Motion by Semple.
Second.
Second by trustee Rikus. Discussion. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Okay, we are in session and we need attendance.
Abernathy?
Present.
Black?
Here.
Meyer?
Here.
Rikus?
Here.
Russell?
Here.
Semple?
Here.
All right, this takes us to public commentary within the Liquor Control Commission meeting. Is anyone present that wishes to address the Liquor Control Commission at this time? Now we have two presentations coming. Are you one of the two? Okay, very good. Yeah, that'll be coming up. Yep. So no public commentary. We'll close the floor. Let's move on to minutes, approving the minutes. I need a motion, please, to approve the Liquor Control Commission meeting minutes from January 8th, 2018.
So, second.
Motion by trustee Abernathy, second by trustee Semple. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Okay, let's go with the first one is a letter of interest from Glamtique at 791 South Midlothian Road. There we go. And if you could just come on up, give us your name and address if you so desire, and tell us what's going on here. These people need to get the mic turned on. Just a second.
Sorry.
There we go.
All right, I'm one of the owners of Glamtique. My wife runs the operations, the day-to-day. She's unfortunately very under the weather today, cannot make it, so she's upset. But so what we're looking to do, we are, for those that don't know, we are a low-dry bar, hair salon. We do waxing, facials, haircuts. We are also a clothing boutique. So very, we are tailored to women as well. So like 95% of our client base are females. The other 5% are usually males shopping for their wives and such. So we are trying to provide a high-end service to our clients and to create a relaxing environment. And we want to offer complimentary beverages, the alcoholic variety, champagne or wine. We do not want to be a point of a place you go to drink, but a place that you could have a small glass of wine or champagne while enjoying the service, complimentary. And so this isn't a newfound thing. This is I don't know if I'd say standard, but it is something that other salons and nail places around the state do offer as a service complimentary. And we are aware of the DRAM laws and would be very cautious as to how and whom we're serving to as well. So, but we do want to bring in people from other areas as well as have the residents come to our facility and enjoy the services and spend their money at our salon and the local businesses here within as well.
But this is not for sale. This is complimentary, correct?
Not for sale.
If it's not for sale, why do they need, if it's complimentary, why do they need a permit? Or why do they need a license? I mean, someone can come into my home and I could offer them something. I don't have to give them a license. Why does it require a license?
Because your home's not open to the public.
That's the reason then. All right, well then, since you've answered that, Chief, let me ask you another question. How are you going to control this?
Well.
No pun intended with your hair.
Yeah, I won't be there. We'll control it the same way that we control the other things. We will do compliance checks as we can. We typically use those that are underage, and we use both male and female. It wouldn't be difficult for us to send in a female that was looking to get her nails done and ask for a complimentary champagne. I would also suggest, if the board is entertaining this, that there's a series of restrictions that go into play that we would also be able to monitor and would help us control the environment.
Okay, thank you.
How many businesses like what this one are in town that might be similarly interested? Just
Hair
kind of-
salons?
Nail salons, hair, barbers.
I've been asked
barbers.
before by a hair salon to do this.
My barber has been asking to serve too.
Not everyone at once, that's what happens, so.
I did not anticipate that question, so I don't have the number, but I can get it for you.
I do know that where I had gone before had asked about it, because she wanted to actually have that for when they do a bridal party. So they want to have like champagne for the entire bridal party, and to me, I understand that, but I think it's a slippery slope we're going down by doing this, because then we're going to allow them to have them. We can't say one place can and the others can't.
Technically, we can. Legally,
Well,
we
I
can't.
know
but
legally we can,
You're
but-
right. I know what you're saying, but it's, yeah.
I can't agree with you, trustee. It's a slippery slope. It's, where, you know, first of all, how you control it, the chief answered that question, but how many others are there and what's gonna be served? Is it just gonna be champagne? Is it gonna be alcohol? Is it going to be beer? You know, I don't like it champagne. Do you have any beer? I mean, it's a great idea. And I don't want to sound negative about it, but it's something that's just so unusual and so difficult, I think, to
It's not that,
control.
it isn't that
You
unusual.
had mentioned the one about the bridal party, you know,
Yeah.
but they're giving probably a price, you know. Well, come on, you could use this, and we'll have food for you, and we'll have drinks, and it'll all be under one particular price. So seems to be a charge for that one, but for this, it's complimentary. I don't know, it's a difficult question here, and I'm not sure which I totally agree with it.
We do offer other beverages as well, like coffee, and we have a hot chocolate bar, and fruit-infused waters, so. it would be
If I-
Sole beverage.
If I could, I know I don't normally interject, but, and not that I'm a proponent of this, please, but understand that discussions at staff already would be that there would be a series of those restrictions, exactly what you brought up, would be limited to champagne, beer, and wine. Wouldn't be hard liquor, wouldn't be alcohol. We would create the license for this particular type of business. There'd be a maximum of 2 services while you're there at each visit. So you couldn't get more than, 1 or 2 complimentary drinks, if that makes sense. We'd control it in that particular fashion, as well as the fees that it would cost in order to get the license.
Would it also require Bassett training?
Yeah, if they're serving to, no matter if it's free or not, they're offering it. That's how we would control the underage kids coming in for their nails before prom and doing exactly this. So the responsibility would fall upon the business owner.
Because a bridal party could have someone underage getting their hair done. Now, do you know of any salons in neighboring towns that do this?
10 Friends in Deer Park does.
In Deer Park?
Yeah.
Is that the only one?
That's the only one locally that I know. There's not a lot of blow dry bars. I don't know about
Well,
some
any
bars.
other hair salons?
Uh,
I know Mario Tricosi gives sparkling water. They don't give away.
Staff did do a little bit of research on how other communities have handled these types of requests, and I don't want to overstate and say that they're common, but we did find examples of over a dozen, Chicago area, suburban communities that do have a class of license designated for hair salon or beautician types of businesses.
So the license is specific to salons, is that correct?
We currently don't have a category for a liquor license for however we want to define a blow dry bar, whether it's a hair salon or a personal cosmetic business. We can create a new category if that's the commission's desire. It's been done in other communities, it just hasn't been done in Mundelein.
Well, I think that by doing that, you'd sort of minimize the potential Pandora's box that you're opening up by allowing this, right? You're limiting it to a particular type of business, not the hardware store as well, right?
Aren't you then gonna get into how you define that business? Well, yeah, we do this, and this, but somebody else wants to do it, and they've added one little thing to it. Are they gonna ask then for a license because they're a little bit different, or they're not different? It just seems to me like you're gonna have to be difficult identifying the two.
I think it's a bit of a restriction on the business owner. I think about, I'm drawn to a recollection. I was at the IML conference in the fall. Robin was there and Dawn was there, and there was a session on retail trends, and there was a guy talking about high-end. It was a high-end clothing store for $150, $200 jeans. People walking in buying high-end clothes and being able to walk around with a go and get a craft beer or get a glass of wine along while you're shopping for your $200 jeans. And so this is coming. This is kind of an evolution of retail, and so I'm not particularly opposed to exploring something like this.
Well, it brings up the the issue of what type of business. I mean, we have a huge retailer over by Target, primarily, but back in the, they have a few chairs. Even though their main business is retail, they also have some, tiny hairs, Ulta, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Ulta.
So, how do you define the business that this is restricted to, by square footage, or would it be, if the commission did want to go down this path, but keep some restrictions, Chief mentioned some things in place, but to limit it to specifically hair salons, nail salons, barber shops, I guess, does that,
My barber shop has blow dryers. I guess he could call himself a blow dry bar, exactly.
I mean, that is the challenge. I would echo, though, that this is not uncommon. I mean, there's a lot of communities. I can tell you that there was a salon nail service in Vernon Hills that offered, for purchase drinks by the glass. And so, that it was in Aspen Point. It's not there anymore, but, this is not uncommon. Our neighboring communities have allowed it. I think Trustee Black is correct that there is definitely a lot of discussions of, the trends in retail and the trends in services and how people can continually enhance their services and products that they deliver to people. And, it's hard to say that one is more deserving than another. It's not choosing who's bad and who's good. It's just, you have to rely on the compliance checks to do that sort of thing, and if you're going to allow it. But, when you're battling for businesses to fill up your spaces, what's gonna help them set them apart from others?
Maybe could we have staff do some additional research on what kinds of other areas, what kinds of establishments that are allowed or that they have in those towns, and some of the restrictions and examples of the licenses and some of that, maybe do a little bit more research?
Yeah, I think if I'd like to query the commission first before we commit staff time to doing more research, just to see that there's interest from the commission in dedicating staff time to pursuing this first before. So if, staff can do more research, other towns, how you define the businesses, flushing this out with more information and data, but I want to make sure first that there's a commitment that if they do that and come up with the things to match what other communities do, that we have the votes to move forward on something like this.
Mr. Mayor, I'm open-minded on this one.
Okay.
No, you had your feet on the button. No, I got a silly question. What would happen if I decided to just have a pop-up, blow-dry, whatever, salon on Saturday at Tighthead? I mean, I put a couple chairs in Tighthead and say, hey, come on by and I'll blow out your hair and do your makeup and nails. And by the way, you can go to the bar and get a drink.
So we're a winery in Mundelein, we love that.
Well, because the main goal of going to Bosakis or going to Tighthead is not to get your hair blow dried.
Right. No, but I go there for a pizza and get a beer while I'm there because.
Okay, we need your mics on, otherwise I'm gonna get emails. There we go.
Okay,
There you go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay. We're both very loud, so we don't even think
All
to
right.
turn on our
All
mics.
right. Okay. Okay, so I have one yes to pursue this with, ask staff to do more research.
You know what, I'd be okay with perusing this.
Okay? Trustee Russell?
I'm good.
You okay? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that we should look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could define it and pull in the definitions more, then I'd consider it.
Okay. So we're deferring this. We're gonna have to have staff weigh in on this. If the commission does pull the trigger, you would be the first, and so you can understand how you're breaking new ground here in a community like this. So we'll see where it's at. I don't know about a timeline. I'll talk to staff about it, and they'll be in touch with you in terms of a timeline moving forward, in terms of bringing a report to us and us weighing it and giving you a firm answer someday. Okay? Well, thank you very much. Good presentation. Thank you. Okay. Okay, that takes us to the Mexican Grill, 660 South Lake Street. Las Magueyas, Mexican Grill, Las Magueyas. Hi.
Good evening, Village Board, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for having us. I'm Ryan Sullivan. I'm an attorney for Mexican Grill, Los Magueyas. It's a Mexican restaurant in Lake Plaza on 660 South Lake Street. It just offers typical Mexican cuisine, and the owner with me today is Modesta Garcia, and they're seeking a Class F license to serve Mexican beer and spirits along with dinner and lunches at the restaurant. So we're here, we're happy to answer any questions that the board might have.
I visited your business a while back. I was impressed with the investment, the booths. It's a lot of money you put in there. It's very nice. Any questions, comments?
What they want
You want to serve, again, beer?
So the thought was to serve Mexican beers and spirits.
So it's a full liquor license, but you have to be sitting at a table to be served. There's not gonna be a bar.
There's no bar.
That I can go sit at. Kinda like, I believe we have a couple other restaurants that have the same concept. Have you ever had a liquor license before?
No, I haven't.
None, ever? So this is your first? And you're aware of all the training? And you're aware that if we see you again here
It's not pretty.
soon, you can lose the privilege to sell alcohol? And as we talked about earlier, we will check, we will have minors come in, and we even send a letter warning that we're going to do it before we do it, and we still have bars and restaurants that are sloppy and will sell to a minor. So we don't have a lot of tolerance for selling to minors, and especially if you don't have a track record of running a bar and serving, you have to be really careful, because it could ruin your whole investment if you do sell to a minor. You just need to understand the privilege we're gonna provide, assuming we allow this. Yeah, and you're aware of all this, right?
Yes, I understand that. I haven't had a license, but I have worked before where they do serve liquor, but I haven't had a license. I haven't owned a business before, this is the first, so I haven't had a license before.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, let's query the commissioners. Yes, no, I'm giving them. Okay, yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, very good. Okay, so here are some directions. There you go. Just follow the directions and, good luck to you. And hope it does extraordinarily well. Thank you very much for coming in. Okay, at this point, I need a motion, please, to adjourn the Liquor Control Commission meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Semple, second by Trustee Abernathy. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Abernathy? Russell?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Okay, we now need a motion to reconvene the village board meeting. Motion by Trustee Abernathy, second by Trustee Black. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy? Black?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
And attendance, please.
Abernathy? Meyer?
Here.
Black?
Here.
Rikus?
Here.
Russell?
Still here.
Semple?
Here?
All right, there we go. Got it? Okay. All right, that takes us to trustee reports. Item A, Community and Economic Development Committee. Trustee Abernathy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a motion this evening for a shed variation. Is Mr. Wagner here? Oh, there he is. Good evening. Nice to meet and put a face to our conversation.
We've talked numerous times.
Yes. Okay, so my first motion for 124 South Chicago is shed variation. A motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendations.
Motion by trustee Abernathy,
Second.
second by trustee Russell. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Simple?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, also, a motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's minutes and findings of fact.
Motion by Abernathy,
Second.
second by trustee Russell. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Simple?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And lastly, a motion to authorize staff to draft an ordinance granting a variation to allow the installation of a shed in a corner side yard at 124 South Chicago Avenue with conditions.
Motion by trustee Abernathy.
Second.
Second by trustee Russell again. Any discussion? No? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Simple?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
That was easy.
See?
Very good. Well, I have to compliment staff for the great job they did of, in the packet, providing great detail. Very, very nice. Thank you.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, I have some new businesses to announce. We have Lucky Bernie's opened, and that's Lucky Bernie's at 408 North Lake Seymour, or Lake Street, and they sell food and beverages and have also video gaming. We have NutriBody Plus, Mundo Fit at 837 South Lake Street, Unit A. It's an exercise studio. Altera Home Loans, and that's at 333 East Route 83. And that business activities includes meeting clients, discussing mortgage options and applications for home loan mortgages. We have Psychic Vivian at 507 South Lake Street, and she will read your palm, tarot cards, psychic readings, spiritual healings, and she also sells some spiritual supplies and crystals. We have a new salon, Salon G, at 1515 South Lake Street, and that is a hair salon specializing in cuts, coloring, waxing, hair extension services. And this one sounds interesting, Zoo's Feet Relax at 699 South Lake Street. It's a business, is a traditional oriental foot spa. So it involves soaking the feet in a warm foot basin and then applying with kneading and lotion to the bottom of the feet. So it sounds very relaxing. I might try that one. So those are our new businesses so far. And a few announcements. We have a winter blood drive planned January 27th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1.
That is correct.
Okay. And LifeSource will be there. If you have to schedule an appointment, contact LifeSource. Let's see, February 15th, 7:30 to 9:30 at the Doubletree Hotel. The Mundelein businesses are invited to our 2018 Business Appreciation Breakfast that is hosted by the Mundelein Economic Development Commission. And I believe also the MBA will be having a trade show. Perfect. Fremont Library and AARP are teaming up to offer free tax help. Volunteer tax preparers from ARP will be available by appointment at the Fremont Library, and it is designed for anyone and is specifically designed for people over 50, and it is free. I might even take up on that. I'm now over 50. So, appointments are available Thursday afternoons and Friday mornings, February 1st to April 13. Please, for other AARP tax aid locations, please visit the AARP website. The Mundelein Arts Commission is also holding a writing contest for students in grades 6 through 8 and 9 through 12. Contact your school or village hall for more information. And another thing I just wanted to point out, Wednesday, January 24th, this evening, I am going to be doing the point in time count. It is a count that is done through Lake County. And what we do is go throughout Lake County and doing count of everyone that's part of our homeless community. We also will bring anyone that is homeless to a shelter that evening. So it's amazing. And it is nice that all of the help that is available throughout Lake County and the shelters, and each night there is a different shelter. But I will say every town in Lake County has some people that are unfortunate and don't have a home to live in. So if anyone knows of any, please let me know, and we'll make sure we can help find them a bed at least and a meal for that evening. Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Abernathy. Next up, Public Works Committee, Trustee Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I can honestly say that Public Works has nothing to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, Finance Committee, Trustee Semple.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier, we were presented with the summary of our 2017 audit report, and the audit report was provided to everybody. With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to accept the village's 2017 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report and Management Letter as submitted in your board packets this evening.
Motion by Trustee Semple, second by Trustee Abernathy. Discussion.
Does that have to be amended to what we talked about before, where staff is going to make some recommendations on some of the items in there? Are we accepting it in as a whole, or
Well, we're accepting the report itself, and then the recommendations are part of the report. So the recommendations will be coming from staff in the very near future in terms of an action plan.
So the answer is no then, huh? That we don't need to amend?
Well, the recommendations are part of
okay,
the overall.
Anyone else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Black?
Yes. Motion carries.
Our next item is regarding our IRMA contribution, and IRMA is the Illinois Risk Management Association, which is a pool we belong to with 70 other suburban governments to help lower insurance costs. And out of this, we pay a premium based on our claim history, which includes workers' comp, property damage, vehicle damage, and general liability. And this is for our village employees, of course. And the annual premium varies each year based on the actual claim history. And this year's premium will be the lowest in 20 years, due in part to our village department's continued focus on workplace safety. For perspective, our record for highest claims in a year was 2007, where we had claims totaling over $2.5 million. In 2017, we had approximately $100,000 in claims. And most importantly, our employees are working safer. They're reducing workplace accident and injuries. But I wanted to note how safety does impact us financially as well. And I actually thought twice about mentioning all this because we've been doing such a great job. I didn't want to jinx us for 2018. However, with that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to approve a purchase order and a payment in the amount of $300,879 for calendar 2018 IRMA annual contribution.
We have a motion by Trustee Semple.
Second.
Second by Trustee Abernathy. Discussion. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Semple?
Yes.
Abernathy? Russell?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is our standing AT&T separated bills for payment so that Trustee Meyer can abstain. With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills as indicated on the disbursement pending report for AT&T dated January 22nd, 2018 in the amount of $2,436.96, as well as an invoice for AT&T Mobility dated January 22nd, 2018 for the amount of $1,154 $1,000,000.32 as submitted in your board packets this evening.
Motion by trustee Semple,
Second.
second by trustee Black. Discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Semple,
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Rikus.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Meyer.
Abstain?
Russell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And finally, the governing body report bill approval. We're going to pay our bills for the latest time period. With that in mind, I'd like to make a motion to approve the payment of bills as indicated in the governing body report for the period between January 9th, 2018, ending January 22nd, 2018, for the amount of $1,442,426.51 as submitted in your board packets this evening.
Motion by trustee Semple,
Second.
second by trustee Black. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Semple.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Rikus.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And regarding finance, I know this is the time of year where we're heading towards our budget process. So now is the time to start meeting with the department heads. All of us are chairmen of various committees. Meet with the department heads of the committees you chair or that you participate in. Talk to those department heads about their possible needs. If they have expenses they need, they're in worry of our nasty staff cutting out, that's your chance to lobby and be a good liaison for the respective departments we all work for. So the budget process is coming. Staff is already working on those budgets, and I believe we've already been submitted the dates of the meetings where the budget process takes place coming up in, I believe it's, Doug, help me out here, March, April? All right, so it's coming fast. So just a heads up to everybody. That's all for finance, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Public Safety Committee, trustee Rikus.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no motions, but I'd like to call on Chief Gunther about any activities, events, past or in the future.
Just two things. Citizen Police Academy will start on February 21st and go through April 25th. You can still sign up at the police department if you're interested in that. And the Polar Plunge will take place on February 28th. We have several employees throughout the village that are looking for pledges for their team. So again, if you're wishing to help them out and getting money for Special Olympics, please pledge to them. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Chief Lark?
Just a couple of things. We had 9 citizens complete CERT training this past weekend. More to follow following the February orientation meeting. Then to come out with the blood drive again this Saturday. So just a little reminder for everybody. I'll let trustee already hit it. So again, this Saturday, 9 o'clock till 3 p.m.
Thank you very much. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Next up, Building Committee, trustee Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We don't have any motions for tonight, but we did have a building architectural structural working group meeting. And we went through the primary list of things we'd like to see in architecture and new subdivisions, and then kind of a wish list or a punch list of items that pick 2 or 3 or however many amount of things additionally that we'd like to see. So our next step would be to work with an architect and a builder and determine the feasibility and the cost of the items that we have on our wish list and determine which ones are going to be viable, realistic, still providing the look we want at a cost that's affordable for all. And after that meeting, we'll probably have a report?
Yes.
Yes. Anything else you want to add to that?
I have nothing else.
Okay, so that would be it.
Great. Thank you. Next up, Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, trustee Black.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One motion to make tonight relative to fiscal year 2017 Loch Lomond Street and Infrastructure Change Order Number 1. Looking for motion, I'm making a motion to approve Change Order Number 1 for Copenhagen Construction to the fiscal year 17 Loch Lomond Street and Infrastructure Construction Contract, increasing the contract value in the amount of $63,145.40.
We have a motion by trustee Black, second by trustee Abernathy. Discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Black.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Rikus.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Nothing further.
Okay, this takes us to other reports, and I think John was going to take this. Are you going to go ahead and, Mrs. Ranchuk, go ahead.
So we're at the next stage in the process for the North Lake Enhancement Program. At this point, we presented the conceptual visioning documents to the board a couple months ago, and now we've been working with Trustee Abernathy and Trustee Rikus to create a program for moving the project forward with sharing some of those costs associated with actual construction. In the original contract that we had with the architect, through some of the funds that we had from Lake County through their CDBG program, we had some money set aside to pay for some of the architectural costs. That money we're proposing to instead reallocate that with some additional funds so that we can offset construction document creation for all of the interested property owners, not just picking off like one or two of the property owners, since there was a large, seemed to be a large interest from many of the property owners. I think when we first started the program, we anticipated maybe one or two being interested in moving forward, and now it seems like we're having more like 6 or 7 that are interested in moving forward. So out of the 10 property owners. So before you is the proposal for what the program would ultimately look like. It's kind of an offshoot of the big program, kind of using that as a base point. We created some incentives that it would be similar to that, but it's actually a little bit better in terms of what the property owners get. The big program doesn't cover things like maintenance items. It doesn't cover architectural costs. It doesn't cover like finishes and things like that. Some of the, basically, this is covering the exterior facades, so that's definitely a requirement of any project that moves forward, is that the exterior has to be a component of it, and that part of the issues we were having with getting those projects started is that there were some maintenance items that also needed to be addressed in order for, it's basically, dolling up the outside, but then structurally it was, some of those things needed to be addressed, and some of the maintenance items as well. So it wouldn't have been money well spent to just put on a nice facade and not address some of the other issues. So the proposal was to fund the projects themselves, the construction projects, at 60%, and then participate in the construction drawings of about 55% cost. And so those are broken down by each property owner, and we would enter into contracts with each property owner for paying a portion of that once they decide to sign a contract to move forward with the architect. And moving into the future with this, we would anticipate that each project would have a resolution that goes with it, so that all of it's documented very clearly in terms of what the village's share is versus what the owner's share is. But at this time, we're asking for the village board to basically allocate $57,200 to the North Lake project for the construction drawings. And then the other request would be to enter into a program to create the guidelines of the North Lake Enhancement Program guidelines. And so those are outlined in the packet in great detail, but basically the share is a 50-50 share of up to 50,000, or it's a 60% share of up to $50,000 for a majority of the property owners. And then there are facades that are at the corners, and because there are corner units and they have kind of extra facade as you go around, the proposal is to up that amount another $25,000 and cap it at a 60% share up to $75,000.
Okay. And then between these, then you would have the green light to then pursue the parking the agreements to get the parking thing going, right?
Right, so we're asking the property owners that have the parking in the rear that are all adjoining to enter into an easement agreement with the village, and that language is still being drafted, but that is the commitment that we're looking for, is that the village would take on the design and the maintenance of that parking lot, and that some of those spaces would be utilized as public parking spaces.
And that'll be all designed and redone?
Yeah, and that's
Now,
planned in the future.
Do you need all the owners before you can commence that, I assume? right?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. And it isn't, I mean, it's not, no, we need 8. And so it's not you could still get them to commit to do the parking lot and maybe not do the facade project.
Right, right.
You know, that's an option. So it's not necessarily that if they decide not to do their facades, that they wouldn't potentially participate in the parking lot easements. So, but we're anticipating at this point, we've received about 6 of the property owners saying that they're interested in moving forward. There's a couple that are on the fence, and then there's several that just aren't ready to do anything, so.
On the facade?
On the, yeah, to do a project.
How about
But the parking,
Yeah.
so far we've had 4 commit.
Okay.
So now we're just waiting, you know, to kind of keep everybody going along. You know, they received, we had to be comfortable with the guidelines ourselves before we sat down and met with the property owners. And so this is kind of a big step for them to really commit formally, is knowing that the board, you know, if you guys are supportive of this project, then they can more comfortably formally commit to something.
Well,
So
I think it's great. I know that there's some concern about parking with more businesses wanting to move in there. There's some spots that are still vacant, but the concern is, you know, that lot that we have is, you know, there's a lot of cars in there now. So, you know, and then when we fix this parking thing, it'll really have a huge impact, I think.
Right, and there's, you know, doing a parking deck is very expensive. So, you know, if there's spaces around downtown that people can share and utilize together, you know, that really helps. You know, and it also brings people past businesses that they may not have before,
Right.
and enhancing the exteriors and the rears of the properties can definitely, you know, kind of change how maybe somebody that hasn't gone into a storefront or utilized a business may have a different, you know, view of that business.
Yeah, I have a question. There's a lot of detail, and I really appreciate all the detail in there. I was looking at the comparison to the regular BIG program, and could you help me understand on the repayment clause? On the BIG grants must be repaid if business closes within 3 years, but under the NLEP grants, no repayment required if businesses close.
Well, we're entering into this contract with a property owner. In most cases, there's, you know, one case there's a business owner that's driving the project, but the property owner is still involved. So this is in conjunction with a property owner. They don't run the business in their.
Versus the stores that are being leased.
Right.
Okay.
So whereas the business incentive grant program is for somebody to open a new business, this one is to enhance the property that somebody already owns.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so let's just see, I need a motion then to adopt a resolution creating the North Lake Enhancement Program and Guidelines.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Abernathy, second by trustee Black. Any further discussions or questions?
I do have, and I know I was on this team, and I just wanted to make some clarifications. So that even though there's some businesses that might not want to do the facade, they still are willing to help do the back parking.
That's what they've indicated. Now, whether that, you know, it could be that they decide tomorrow not to, and then we would have to work that out and continue to work at it. And hopefully they would change their mind, or it may be under new ownership, and that new owner may
And then
be interested. So it's a work in progress.
Okay, my next question goes to the next motion. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Okay. And then let's just go to the next motion and do discussion there. I need a motion, please, to adopt a resolution approving a professional services agreement with Allen and Peppa Architects for the North Lake Enhancement Program.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Abernathy.
Second.
Second by trustee Rikus.
Okay,
Discussion.
yes, I do have a question, and this is regarding, now, even though Alan and Peppa are doing the architectural drawings, the property owners are going to have full say in a lot of what is being designed, correct?
Yes, they are entering into their own contracts.
Okay,
with-
so that they're gonna have, it's not, we're not dictating what, I mean, I know we have some guidelines and what things, but I mean, the property owners have to have the ability to,
Yes, and they have worked very closely with Lane and with Eric to develop their plans, the concepts up to this point. And definitely, we've expressed to them, they, you know, through these contracts, they are, you know, in charge of what they feel comfortable with.
Okay.
You know, there are certain parameters that we are requiring to, you know, obtain the funding from our end, but that, you know, they have to definitely have that contract between them and the architect and them and future contractors.
okay. Yeah, that was, you know, I just don't want to make sure we're not just telling the businesses what, you know, there are guidelines, but the businesses should have the final decision in what it looks like for their, or the property owners should have the final decision in what their property looks like.
Yeah, go, sir, yeah, your name for the clerk, please?
Do anything here?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Am I on?
Yep.
Here.
Hi, Lane Allen,
There you go.
Kappa Architects, principal. I've been very, very clear that this contract is not only, that they are driving the boat here.
Okay.
Because I understand this is not your prerogative, you want to facilitate a win-win solution, and so, you know, Tony and I had this discussion today, I've had similar, very personable discussions with each one, and I specifically say, the city has requested that you vet this proposal for them, and that you understand that you're in a position of driving this boat, and we are gonna work together on the design, the construction detailing, the bidding, and construction. And, you know, so, I mean, it's great to have your buy-in and facilitation of monies to, this is a very difficult project to get all of these cats to be going in the same direction, and it's a great project, it's unprecedented, and, you know, there's a lot going well here, so thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, I'm good, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Very good, motion carries. There is no scheduled business under omnibus vote items. That's a first. I don't think that's happened, maybe once that I've been here. Village staff reports, village administrator. Go ahead, do you have anything?
No report tonight, thank you.
Okay, very good. Village attorney?
No report, but I understand we will need an executive session for land acquisition or sale of property.
Okay. Village clerk? Oh, is there gonna be action after
No.
this? No. Very good. Village clerk?
No report.
No report, okay. Very good. So before I ask for a motion there, I want to thank everyone for joining us here tonight, live and then also streaming online. Thanks for being with us. I need a motion, please, to recess into executive session to discuss land acquisition or sale of property pursuant to 5 ILCS 120, Section 2C5.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Abernathy.
Second.
Second by trustee Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Rikus?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much, everyone.